Okay. So this is the basic interface of Plan Visage. So over here you'll see that there is a help button. Now the good thing about planning and scheduling is that Plan Visage have themselves provided us with their own guide, and it is pretty good and self-explanatory. But I'll still walk you guys through how each and every table and how their logic works. Okay. So as you can see over here, the data which we have in planning and scheduling, there are two basic type of data. One is the static data and dynamic data. Okay. So static data is something which you as a user would provide to the system, and after learning planning and scheduling, you'll get the dynamic data. So before running planning and scheduling or the workflows, these are the tables which you will have to ensure are populated correctly. The item, I'll just give you an overview. Like I think you'll understand key what will be in there. I'll go in detail later. So there will be item group, the location, etc., etc. And in dynamic data, you'll get all the output tables, which would be the sales order plan, work order OPRDS plan, procurement, etc., etc.
So the static tables are the only input tables that we provide.
Yeah. So you have to make sure that these are the tables which are populated correctly before you are running anything.
Can we add some additional static data table also?
No. You can add a user defined table, and through which you can like make changes in your static data, but you cannot make your own static data tables. These are the tables which Plan Visage uses in their logic. So you cannot change any static data, but you can give a user defined table, which in the previous lesson we learned how to make user defined tables. And then if your user, the end customer, wants to push some data through Plan Visage, then you will have to create a UDT, and then through some post processing or pre processing you can manipulate the data later. Okay, so going forward in planning, then we have other things like validation and all. I'll walk you through everything later. Reports part was discussed. Okay, so now I think it would be better if we go through a sample data and how things are done. So I'll just import a data set and
Why don't you see any static dynamic menus there?
ऐसे
स्क्रीन का प्रॉब्लम हो गया, कम कर दे.
okay. Options. Okay, I think एक बार import करके देखते हैं.
इसमें OPRS प्लान है ही नहीं रे. OP का क्या सब कैपिटल है, RES कैपिटल है क्या?
OP O capital P small
और बाकी
R capital E S.
RES
Okay, so I'll just import a sample data set now. Okay, now the order which you are seeing right now, that is how the Plan Visage takes its input. So first you have to make sure you are importing all the master tables. So there will be item master, location master. Okay, so this order which you are seeing right now is how it will get, Plan Visage will pick it. So I'll go by this order and explain you the things one by one. Okay, so now as you can see, the first table which you will populate is the item master. So you have to make sure that every item which you will be having should be populated over here. So item master. Okay. So over here you can see that you have to provide the plant ID, item description, the UOM with the inch, kg, etc., etc., and item type. So if it is a raw material or a manufactured material. Now over here you have to make sure that if a item, if your client, for a client, if you are selling a particular item, then it should be manufactured. Or wait. Sorry, it should the syllable should be true. It can be any. It can be a raw material or manufacturer, but the syllable should be true or false. Okay.
This item master table is for whom, I mean, for the seller or for the our client, or
It is for
who's
your
the seller?
user.
User.
Yeah. So for every company or every customer which you will have, you will prepare an item master table. So if you are planning or scheduling for a particular items, all those items should be reflected over here. If you are generating the procurement plan or anything.
What do you mean by raw material and manufactured? That does mean that
Raw material means if you have a routing ID or they provide you with the operations or the particular routing, like this item is, for example, let's say forming. So this item is formed after forming process, and they give you all the details like this resource is required, this much time it would take, etc., etc. Then that means that item is manufactured in the plant,
Acha.
and if it is a raw material, it is procured from a supplier.
It will not have a routing ID. or
No,
anything.
it won't have a routing ID or anything. If it is manufactured, then it should have a routing ID.
Right.
Okay, clear?
Why some syllables are false?
So they won't be selling it. So,
For internal consumption,
Huh.
that will be true.
For making other products.
so they might be used in making it. It might be a semi
So when you
SFG or something like
when you
that.
define an item type manufactured and saleable false,
Hmm.
then if you put such item in sales order line,
It
then
will give you
plan
error.
research will not plan anything because you are not able to sell those things to the customers because
See.
we have maintained that.
For example, this item.
So is raw material sellable?
Raw material
Yeah.
is not.
Yeah, it is sellable.
It is sellable.
But so it would be like you are a middle party in that you are procuring from some supplier
That is
and then you are
Buying a thing and
Ah,
then selling
yeah.
it directly.
yeah. So you'll have a mapping of the supplier and the
Same-
customer which you
Same
got.
item can be both sellable and non-sellable.
No.
Only one category.
Yeah. How can you? That would be conflicting, right? Like,
We can sell some portion of
Ah, some percentage is used in the plant, then some percentage that is left is
Okay.
directly sold.
No. No. So
raw
then.
material can't be like sold.
Okay, no, I don't think provision like that is provided. If you want to do that, what you can do is make two item codes. One item, if you are saying that 60% I want to block for my raw material, then you can make 60% underscore inventory and
Underscore one,
underscore.
underscore two.
Huh.
Right.
So underscore one would be what you can say is saved for non-sellable, and other part will be sellable. So you can manipulate it this way. If you want to say I want to do it like that.
Same item is predictable entry.
Huh.
Sellable.
Huh.
Sellable.
Yeah. But you will have two different codes.
Right now, we don't
Item
have
code should be different.
Huh. I understood.
Right now, every item is unique.
Yeah. Yeah, it is recording. Chance. I'll require the chance. So we are done with item master. Now the second would be location master. Now in location master, what happens is
All the master tables should be uploaded first, and their order matters or no.
no, I'm just going into the flow as in you'll understand.
Parent.
Yeah.
Master first.
First go through a flow, then it will be easier for you also to upload the other tables which are related to the master tables. Okay, so in
Parent and children.
so for example, for location master, it is a parent table, but it has a child table which is item location. So if you won't have the data in the master table, you cannot populate your child table. So that's why make sure the master tables are populated first. That's why I'm
Foreign
going.
key can
Yeah, foreign key error, you'll get something like that. So for location master, you can have different location based on the whatever your client wants to have you. So basically, you'll have two location you will need to keep. One would be the plant, or and the second would be the supplier. Now these would be used later, which I'll show now. So item location, if you go for item location, now you can see that each item may have different location, and each item may be belong to different item group. Now in item, okay, item group master. One second. Hmm. So over here you can specify like where the particular item is available. If item is raw material, it might be available at a different location, which is a supplier. So it is coming from a supplier end. If it is available in your plant, then you can provide a location as plant. So these location point is mainly used if you are doing material planning, like or where the exact material is available before procurement, after procurement, during the planning scheduling process, after it reaches your customer.
And your location should be same now. Like planned, it was mentioned in location master. It was written in house. It should be same.
If your location is coming from a supplier, then it might have a different location ID. If it is inside your plant, then it might be the plant. So for example, this item, it is available in your plant. This might be available in some other location. So this is just basically for the purpose of uh, for reporting purposes. So not much significance. It has a significance in material planning, but not in the proper planning and scheduling.
Same number of location should be there in location master and
Yeah,
item location.
yeah. So if you cannot put Mumbai over here because you don't have Mumbai in your master table, so you'll have to make sure it will show error.
Now, what is true and false?
As a primary location, like do you want the location to be fixed? Means like this item can be right now it is in plant. Okay, so it can be in some other place also. Okay, so now I'll just give you example, like this item is right now in Chennai. Now I'm moving it from Chennai to my plant. Now the location of that item has changed. So but its primary location from where it came was Chennai.
It will be decided whether it is true or false. Okay.
So if this for this item it is coming from Chennai, so I'll put the primary location true. That's all. Okay, so now we'll go forward with resource master. Okay, so in resource master basically you'll have all the resources. So whether it will be a press or forming resource, anything. Forming, I'm just giving an example, but whether it is any resource which is provided by your customer, should all the resource should be present in your resource master.
All the resources in that plant.
The
Yeah.
resources in plant, or to be specific, whatever to which you have a routing.
Oh yeah.
It might be at the supplier side also.
No.
No.
So now resource over here is required for planning and scheduling that happens within the plant and not at the supplier end. So only those things, resources which you have in the plant.
So moving forward, I think okay. So over here you can see that these are the places. There will be ID, there will be description. Now over here there is resource type. Now there are two types of resources basically. Mainly one is the simple resource and other one is a pooled resource. Now what I mean by pooled resource is
Shared.
not exactly shared, but let me give you an example. Now you have a resource R1. Okay. Now I have three in my plant. I have three resources of the same ID, R1, R1, R1. But if you are looking at from a planning and a scheduling for the system, there should be three different resources, because although their IDs are same, but they are different resources. Like we cannot treat it as a single resource. Got it? So for when there are cases like this, you have to mention resource type as pool. Okay, and
Then it will consider all the three as different.
yes. Now for that resource detail, I'll show how you map those three to one. There is a mapping table wherein you show that these three resources are pooled resource, and how many resources like are pooled with it. There will be. I'll show you the mapping how it works in later. So now we have the operation master. Now in operation master, you'll specify all the operations which is given by your customer. So like here you see mold forming, slitting, roll forming, etc. So all your operation will come in your operation master. Nothing to explain here. Then you have a routing master. Like this. Yeah,
There is no mapping between resource and operations.
it will come. Now you'll see. Now we are in master tables. No, all the mappings and everything will come in the other
Dynamic
table.
tables.
No, not dynamic. They are static tables only, but they are like child tables. So we'll give it later. So in routing master, now what happens is basically for routing is just basically a link which will say that which operation is performed by on which item, what item would you get after performing the operation, what item would you require before performing the operation, how which what extra items would you require, like additional items, how much time would you require. So this linkage is provided by a routing ID.
There is no column for item.
So this is a master table. Now in the future, the next tables which I show you get to see the linkages, where how each routing ID represents what kind of data. So you'll see that in later tables, but just make sure the routings which the linkages which you are creating should first be present in the routing master. Now I'll show you how the linkages are formed. So first table. Now I think we are done with the master tables almost all of them.
Item master, location master,
Operation
resource
master.
master, operation master.
There are still some masters left, like the customer master, supply master. We'll come to that later. Let's just see the operation resource first. Okay. Now, so in operation resource, you over here you'll specify that.
This is a child table.
Yeah. So this is a time. Before that, I think we should see bomb master. Okay. Now, for each item, an item may be produced from a semi-finished good to a final good. So there will be a bomb. I think you understand. Okay. So there will be a bomb ID, and for the description you can provide description. So what is basically bomb ID is also another linkage. Now in this linkage what you'll get to know is this bomb ID refers, for example, my one item A. To produce item A I require two items B and C. Okay, so to produce these linkages would be through a bomb ID. So I'll say that I'll represent it by bomb ID 1. Okay, I'll just show you how I'll create it. Sample data, or what we can do is, okay, we'll just use this data. Now if I see this bomb ID, there is the two tables are linked to bomb master, which is bomb production, bomb consumption. Now what I'll do is I'll pick this bomb ID, I'll go through bomb production, This filter, what is bomb ID? Now, what happens in bomb production is you'll get to know that through a particular bomb ID which item is being produced. Okay, so this is a linkage. I'll manufacture this item through this bomb ID and
Using the routing ID also.
routing ID you'll get to know in bomb consumption. Key through which wait, I think it will be better if we go through sales order line. Okay. Now, as you can see, yeah. So this is what I was trying to explain. For a particular item, you require two SFGs. So SFG, semi-finished goods. Okay. So this is how you'll put the data in. So you will keep the BOM ID same because you are referring to that item only. So to produce this item, I require two items, which is, as you can see, and now we'll come to the quantity per column. Now what this represent is to produce 948 quantity of this item, I require 948 quantity of this item and 122 quantity of this item. Do you understand? It is not necessary that you'll always have a one-to-one mapping. The mapping may differ. So
this is a constraint, no? Bomb constraint.
yeah, bomb constraint, exactly.
Bomb constraint.
Uh,
This is bomb.
this is bomb. Bomb constraint is different.
बॉम्ब कंस्ट्रेंट में ये होता है कि in order to satisfy this condition we write a constraint.
तो इक्वेशन लिखते हैं इसे लिखोगे ना आप?
हाँ, दिस इज द टेबल जो रेफर करता
ये
है.
टेबल बनाने के लिए ऊपर का एक प्लाईवुड लगेगा, 4 पेड़ लगेगा, तब जाके एक टेबल बनेगा.
0 to 0.
So over here you can see the operation is also being mentioned. Now this operation should be there in the operation master. So you'll also get to know ki to produce an item what all operations I have to perform, which routing will I have to refer.
There is an order in which the table should be imported.
Yes.
Yes.
And if you're writing a script, then there is an order in which you populate your tables. If you have to populate anything over here, you have to first populate your item master. Then it would be your work master, your routing master, your operation master. And after that only you can start with first bomb production and then bomb consumption.
Okay, so now I'll go to the operation resource. So for this routing ID, now I need to know how much time it takes, what all additional things are required. So that would be present in my operation resource tables. So as I said, the linkage for this would be your routing ID. So we'll filter this routing ID, operation 36 in your operation resource. As you can see, there were two operations over there. There are two operations over here, and over here what you will do is you will create a mapping of an operation and the resource which it would require. Okay, so for this to perform this operation, I will require this resource, which should be present in your resource master. There is also a sequence column. This is the operation sequence column. I'll just so you can see it properly. Now you will understand that first I will be performing this operation, which is a forming process. Then you will do a coating process. Okay, so over here you can also specify the sequence. Like first finish this operation, then only you can start the next operation. Okay, and also over here this is the broad date. So what this means over here is in one day you can produce 2100 unit of that item.
One item is single routing ID, like unique.
Every item will have a unique routing ID. Or
Routing, how come routing ID is item wise? Routing ID is resource wise.
Resource wise, operation wise, item.
So every item will have a BOM ID, and if you can have a single routing ID also, and you can say that all the items are following one routing ID also. So it is not necessary that you will have a unique routing ID for, as you said. that कि every item के लिए BOM ID होना चाहिए. There should be a BOM ID, but not necessary you want a routing ID. हाँ? कि for every item there should be a BOM ID, but not necessarily unique routing ID.
It's necessary.
Every manufactured item will have unique routing ID.
But
If you have any raw materials, then that can have a shared routing ID. But every
if I
manufactured
say-
item will have one.
if I say only one routing ID and for each BOM ID I put that routing ID only, then
Are those two routing ID? I mean, then are those two items identical?
okay.
If those are identical, then only the routing would be same, because routing is your operations and all those things. If that is same, then it is your alternate BOM.
Yeah. Okay.
Or
So yeah. So for every item, there should be a unique routing ID. So, like if your item is different, then you are saying your operations are gonna be different, right? So if your operations are different, then you'll have a unique routing ID. So that's way, like if you have a unique BOM ID for every item, you'll have a unique BOM ID and a routing ID. Okay. Now we'll.
How do you read between the routing master, bomb protection, and bomb consumption? If you take the example of 36 routing ID.
Okay. Now to produce this particular item, I require two items.
Two items.
First, go there, BOM production.
Hmm.
First, to produce this item, you have a BOM ID.
Hmm.
So go to this, take this BOM ID.
So that's what I filter.
Go to BOM consumption.
Hmm.
There you will get to see these two items. Then you need to check if these two items are manufactured or are they raw materials.
Yeah.
If they are manufactured, then again take this item, go to BOM production, filter these items. So that is, you are going at a granular level. Okay. So assuming that, so this is also SFG.
I don't have an idea. Let's see.
So it's for this we require this BOM.
Okay, so
For an SFG also you
require other
product.
yeah. So it will drill down to the lowest level, and it will create, like it would say that first I'll have to make manufacture.
Again, I will have to create this map.
Yes.
So this is the mapping basically. That's how you'll read it. I'll show you in the front end also. In front end you'll get a more clearer picture. But so I think I'll just continue with this example. Mhm. I think front end में दिखा तो बेटा.
BOM diagram.
Close this, go to the item master screen. Right click on the item which is manufactured.
Okay. So,
BOM diagram.
so you can go through two ways. Like if you want to go directly, you can filter out the BOM over there, or you can go through item master also. So now, okay, the one which we are seeing, 36. We are lucky even have to find the same example. So you can see that to make this particular item, I need these two items. Okay. To make this item, I require this item. Now what you are seeing over here, 36,
Routing
is your routing ID. Yes, over to produce this item,
60.
60 is the routing ID. So this is how the mapping is created. Okay, I'll show you. Now this is the BOM master. Now, okay. So the data which I was showing to you earlier, you can see through the front end also. The same routing ID which we are saying to produce this 948 quantity, I require this too. Similarly, if you want to see the BOM of this item, now to produce 948 quantity of this item, I require something, and it is the operation is splitting, and the routing ID is different. Okay. Now, if I want to see the routing ID 36, okay. Now I can see it from here. It's better if you see. Now there are. Now you understood operation resource. Okay. Now same way we have two more tables which are operation resource additional and operation resource alternate. Now in additional, what will happen is I'll give you an example. For example, suppose you are building a tire. So and you are in curing process, and you require an additional resource which is mold. Now mold is a resource, but it is also gonna be required in the curing process. So how will you give the mapping that additional resource is required for a particular operation? So this is where you will add it. So I think I can the front end side. Okay. So for example, for 36, I require also something mold. So I'll just say over here routing ID operation, which is MF. Then you will have a resource name, anything which you provide, additional resource name, and just operation sequence. So this is nothing but should I show it with the data? Data. Alternate में भी नहीं है इसमें. आपका इसमें दिखा कर रहे हो. VPN हाँ. So what will happen in operation resource additional? I'll just give a clearer picture. The resource which will mention over here, both the resources would be working simultaneously or will be occupied simultaneously. Okay. Now in alternate, you can provide alternate items like my item I1 can be produced by R1 and R2. But my first preference is it should be produced by R1. So I can
R2
give
will be alternate.
yeah. So R1 would go in operation resource and R2 would go in alternate. Now I can also have R1, R2, R3. Okay. So in that case, R1 will go in my operation resource. R2 and R3 will come in my alternate.
And there might be some sequence between R2 and R3.
There would be a sequence. There would be a priority. So
If you have sequence, then you go to operation resource.
You have a replacement. Na?
Over here, this is your sequence.
No. Like in alternate resource, some sequence is there. Then there will be a sequence in alternate resources also. No?
So if you are saying
one
that
resource is completing one operation in only one step, and some alternate resource is completing the same operation in two steps.
there can be cases like this. So you'll have a different routing for that.
For that, the routing itself would be different. There is one case wherein you are saying that for a particular item, there is one resource where you require only two operations.
36 routing.
Okay, and for a particular item, for this same particular item, if you go into another resource, then you have three operations. So actually, that resource won't be an alternative of resource 1. Firstly, because it is not a pure replication. You are adding an resource, adding an operation.
The resource is same. Like some specs might be different in alternate resource. It's like you can manufacture more items in one part. Like that. Only machine is same. Like the machine is same.
It can manufacture more item, then you're talking about the production rate. The thing that you're talking are two different things. One is that I have two of the resources. First, one is more productive than the second one. So that can be handled in production rate. Okay?
But the ID, that routing ID can be same.
If you have different production rates, same operations, then the routing IDs can be same.
And it can be put in that alternate
Yes.
machine
Type of the machine should be the same, and the operations that the machine is performing for the same item should be the same.
Okay. So moving forward, now we are done with operation resource and bound consumption. Those two, how you create the linkage, is that clear? Everyone, any doubts? Okay, so move forward. Now we have a customer master. Now, as I said, every when you create a sales order line. Okay, wait. Just first we'll go through customer master. Now every customer should be present in a customer master. Okay, so there is nothing great about over here. ID.
Did you mention that in operation resource they have to populate only one of the prod rate, runtime, and fixed time?
Okay. Yeah. So now over here, what I have done is the data which was provided to me by the customer was in days. They keep the data in days format. So that's why I populated it this way. Now there is also a column called as runtime. Now if you get a runtime, then what you can do is you can say that to produce this item I need 50 minutes. Okay. But you cannot say that I have a 50 minutes also a runtime and prod rate also I'm populating either of the two.
Okay.
Because it will be conflicting, right? To produce same item I'm giving two different runtimes, so either one of
50 minutes में ही तुम्हारा 2.00 satisfy हो जाएगा.
Maximum run length, like a machine can operate for maximum 50 minutes or 50 hours.
So basically, clear? Let's just move forward. Per item. And prod rate, if it is in days, so in one day, number of items in a day.
And fixed length is basically independent upon your quantity. It is a batch. It is sort of a batch thing.
That run fixed length?
Fixed time.
What do you call that?
Fixed time.
So say for example, अभी मेरे को अगर एक केक मेरे पास बड़ा हुआ ना, if I have to bake one cake, I take 1 hour. If I have to bake 100 cakes, 100 hours. It's a batch. So that is what it is.
Fixed.
That is for batch production.
I mean, वैसा something like that. Setup time.
Setup wait time. Take item से shift from one item to second item.
Okay.
क्या नहीं समझा बता.
Run length और उसका जो
इन दोनों के बीच में डिफरेंस. Okay, I'll explain. कि अभी what you are saying here is एक दिन में in one day I'll produce 21. Okay. So to produce one item it would be divided by 1440. उल्टा उल्टा ना.
हाँ सही है.
यही सही. So to make one item I need 1.45 minutes, right? This is what. Now if you say in runtime I require 2 minutes.
अभी dual आया है output.
Item time per item ना. Problem time per item. Time is 1440.
हाँ.
Divided by item.
Run time per item का एक column है. अभी ये वाला resource देखो.
अच्छा तो so over here
इतना मिनट अरे वो बात एक आइटम
नहीं चालू. So in customer master you'll have all your customers and the description. if you want it, these are not compulsory field. If the client wants you to keep the data in front end, then you can keep it. Not necessary, but ID is must. ID and description. Now approve customer items. So what you this is a mapping table again. So you'll have to make sure that all the items are mapped to a particular customer. What I mean by that is key. You have a sales order prepared, the demand. Okay. Now that demand for a particular item is going to a customer, but I have to give a mapping to the system that this customer will accept this item. Understood? So this is the mapping table. That for a particular customer, I will require this item. Okay. Now you can also provide routing IDs, like a particular customer wants their product to be manufactured by a particular way only, or to a particular machine only. So they can also give their routing ID. Okay.
Like it is a customer preferred the routing.
Customer prefer. So some customer prefer a particular grade of product. So you can provide that over here.
That these things are mostly used in pharma companies
Yes.
where you have a particular item or a routing approved from the customer. Customer approves that, not routing, actually a bomb, because in a bomb they have different raw materials. So not all the raw materials are approved by all the customers throughout the world. That time you can use this.
Now moving forward, the supplier master. So supplier, as I said before, that the raw material would be coming from a supplier. Now all the suppliers should be there in the supplier master. This is nothing new. Similar to approve customer item, approve supplier item. Which raw materials are gonna come from which supplier? The mapping should be present over here. So this supplier will provide me this item. Okay. Moving forward. Okay. Sales order line. Now this is basically your demand. Okay. Now for every sales order, the demand which you will have a sales order ID, a sales line ID. These are the compulsory columns which I'm saying.
Sales line ID.
Yes. Sales order description is not necessary, but you can keep if they want. Now order type. Now for order type, you can have different types of order, but over here right now we are making it a sales order. The item, the customer. Now which customer should be present in your customer master? Okay. This was the link. So you have to make sure that if you are creating a sales order or demand, that customer is present in your customer master. Otherwise plan research won't, it will throw you error, or it will drop those quantity or something like that. Customer item is not necessary. Order status. Okay. Now there might be orders which are cancelled or open. So if the order is kept as cancelled, it won't manufacture it. So like they won't consider it
In
for
order
the,
status only two things are there: open and cancel.
yeah, open, closed, cancelled.
Which any?
Closed is very much similar. Okay, so I'll just give you key. What are the different types? If for any field if you want to see that what are the different options which PlannResearch provides, you can do this trick. Like, what did you guys wanted to see? Order status, no? So there can be
Or
open,
shaped.
cancel, or shipped. Okay. So shipped means like it has been. You don't have to produce it right now, but it has been shipped.
Also, one more thing which is very important when you are populating few tables through SQL. Okay, like say for example item or item master. There you have to specify what is the item type, like raw material, manufactured, and so on. If the way you have put is Plan Massage does not consider those things. Like we now, since we are using Plan Massage, we don't provide any space in between any columns or tables. So we write raw material as continuation. There's no space. But if you see Plan Massage and the input, it is raw space material. So these are the things which you have to check while you are using SQL to populate those tables. Always see the drop downs and all the possible values that you have within the drop
Okay. So you'll have the order status, then the quantity order.
Sales line ID will be unique for customer item.
No.
Customer and item wise, yeah.
Yeah.
The
So-
customer and particular item.
Sales order ID. Sales order ID and line ID.
They both should be unique.
They both should be.
Quantity shipped,
And
quantity
over here in
rejected.
Plan Massage, you actually don't require sales order ID and line ID. They are using it just for a reporting purpose. If you create some dummy values and take a run, the run is possible. Just for the client to understand and relate, we are using this column.
So there may be cases where the client have their own particular way of keeping a sales order ID, their own nomenclature. So that's why you need this. Also, then you'll have a quantity shipped, quantity rejected. If you don't, these are not null columns, shipped and rejected. So if there is nothing, if you want to produce the entire quantity, then keep them as 0, but make sure you populate them. Otherwise, it will show an error. Then you have a requested delivery date, like when the customer expects that product to come. And so there is a priority column. Now what you can do is you can give priorities based on the sales order. So if I say this is my priority 1, so what Plan Research will do is first it will schedule their sales order and then it will start scheduling others. So you can also provide a priority. Now completion date. Now I'll get back to it. It actually get populated after you run the planning and scheduling. Like when will you receive the sales order? You will see that later.
Is the output of
Output. It is basically the output. Right now we are just going through the input tables. Okay. So we are done the sales order line. We also have an inventory table. Like if you have an inventory of a particular item, this is where you will give it. Like keep the data. Plant ID, item, and the quantity of it.
आगे तो लाता
बस जो पढ़ा था एक
0 to 0
यार इसमें क्या है डेटा बना देता
नहीं ठीक है
है तो plant ID, item, and quantity available. These are the important columns which you will have to fill.
Not order ID, no?
This is not important. If it is a not null, just put 1, 2, 3 or any dummy data.
Same.
Lot order ID.
basically lot order ID is like again a way of reporting or how they are storing it. Something to do with
The logic.
Okay.
So the important tables would be your plant ID, item, and quantity available.
And quantity allocation is
Allocated is again it get populated after you run your planning and scheduling.
quantity allocated will be for like one item and one customer. This much quantity is allocated.
So that will be your output. Like if I say, I'll just I have a particular item I1.
Inventory को क्यों आएगा?
I'm saying that I have 100 quantities available right now. Okay. Now I'm running my planning and scheduling. Now my system says that out of this 100, I got a demand of 50. Now those 50 items I am fulfilling it for my inventory. So what will happen? 100 minus 50. So 50 would be allocated. So when Plan Research considers it for the next run, it would say that 100 minus 50, I have only 50 left. So you will get a reporting purpose. Like we'll also get ki kitna quantity where it gets allocated, how much it can. Now location calendar again.
Just one more thing. In bomb production, did you tell them about the lot size, batch size, min, max, increment?
Okay. Bomb production. Okay. Now okay. So over here, we'll come back to bomb production. Now there are other columns such as max lot size, min lot size increment. Now what these basically means is, now suppose they are the customer, they are batch manufacturers, or they have a particular batch size or a lot size which they want the work orders to be created that way. So this is where you'll mention it. Now if I keep my min lot size as 0, means it can produce a work order of one quantity also. Is that clear? Now suppose if I keep the min lot size as 50. So if there is a minimum a range provided by the customer, they want the work orders to be created in particular sizes or in particular batches. This is where you will give it. So they say that I cannot make a batch of 1 lakh quantity. My capacity is only that I can at a particular time I can produce a batch of 10,000. So you will keep the max lot size as 10,000. Now the other column which is lot size increment. Now suppose 50 is my lower limit, 10,000 is my upper limit. So what are my incremental limits? So if I keep it as 1000, or sorry, let's just say 50. So I can now produce batches in the size of 50, 100, 150, 200. Nothing in between that. I cannot produce a batch order of 55 or 60, because I am saying that my lot size increment is 50 only. Now suppose you get a demand of 60. So what do you think the output will be? If 100. So it will produce extra 40 quantities. So if the customer is okay with this, if they say no, I don't want to create extra,
then lot size
increment 1 हो
one
जाएगा, yeah, anything.
consider it is 40.
हाँ.
So it will produce 50.
Minimum 50. So it will produce 50. After 50 it will produce 90. So there will be nothing in between.
Your order is plus 40 into X.
Your order is 40.
So will it produce 50?
It will produce 50. It won't produce 40.
If lot size increment is 0, then it will be like continuous 50.
Lot size zero मतलब 50 बनेगा हमेशा.
क्या?
If lot size increment is
बढ़ेगा ही नहीं
0,
और कोई बैच अवेलेबल नहीं है उसको.
Lot size increment is 0 and minimum maximum कुछ है, minimum
हाँ
क्या है?
हाँ minimum 50 है.
और maximum
10,000 50 ही बनेगा.
कुछ भी बनेगा.
then वो it doesn't consider it as 0, and as such they consider it as an error. So they make however they like. Okay. So this point is clear. Okay. Going back to sales order line. Inventory. So inventory is also done. Okay, location calendar. Now for each plant they will have some types of all touch.
शॉर्टकट नहीं है.
Huh?
All touch.
O I. So every plant, if they have a shift,
अच्छा.
so this is where you mention the shifts. The rest of the things are explanatory. Shift number, shift start. So all the work orders or the scheduling will happen in these particular shifts only. Nothing beyond.
होता है ना. 12:30 को shift start हुआ. Directly 12:30 start हुआ.
Yes.
इसको चेंज कर सकते हैं.
Yes. plan start time. So if you're taking whenever the run you are taking, or whatever, however you want to start. So this is where you mention the start time. So we are done with all the input tables now. Almost all. Uh, one sec. Okay. Now um, we'll learn how to do sequence dependent setup time. So what basically happens is this. For example, suppose you are creating a particular type of item in a particular resource. Now you want to manufacture different type of item. So there would be a changeover type or a sequence dependent setup time. So this time can vary from item to item. So if it varies from item to item, you will have to populate the data in another way. For example, if I'm producing a black jeans in particular resource, so now I want to produce white jeans.
Same
So
resource.
on the same resource. So to make that transition, I'll have to change the color. I'll have to make some or the other changes. So that process takes 30 minutes. Now whereas I'm moving from black to yellow, it takes again 30 minutes. Now if I'm moving from white to yellow, it takes 10 minutes. So this data would be provided by the client, and how you will put it in your system, I'll show it to you. Now over here, the attribute, there would be three tables. Okay, there would be an attribute table.
Column, na?
No, this is an entire.
Item attribute.
Huh.
This will be our static table.
There would be two tables. One would be item attribute table, and other would be a sequence dependent setup time. Okay, I have over here the table name is not mentioned. Wait, I'll just check. Okay, planning schedule. Okay, so there will be three tables. One would be attribute. It is actually attribute master table. This is the master table. The second table would be item attribute, and the third table would be sequence dependent setup.
Which location it is?
In static sequence dependent setup.
Static data.
Yeah. So first in the attribute master you will mention right now our attribute is color. Okay, so you will just mention color. Now for a particular item, so item Y, so you'll have the attribute color which is yellow. Similarly for that item B, the color is black. This is black jeans, this is yellow jeans, this is white jeans. I have the attribute which is color, and I'm giving this value. Okay, now in this is your item attributes. So I think you understood, right? The attributes and items mapping would be in item attributes. Now in the third table, you'll mention
From which attribute?
from a particular attribute. If you're going from black to white, how much time it would require? From white to black, vice versa. From white to yellow to white.
Backend is table.
In backend, yeah, the same attribute master, item attributes, and sequence dependent. Those will be the name of the table. Those will be exactly the how. Now suppose if the time was same for all, like everything would be such 30-30, then I don't need to do this. I can only add a setup time.
Okay.
But since the setup time is changing according to item, I have to do all this change over times. I'll have to maintain a different mapping. Okay. Now I think we have pretty much covered all the basic input tables, and if you guys have any doubts. No?
The sequence dependent setup time table doesn't contain item. There will be mapping between item attributes.
Okay, so It won't contain item. So if you want the item to be also included, you will have to manipulate the data in that way. What you
आइटम
can.
तो होना ही नहीं है तो मालूम कैसे पड़ेगा?
फिर तो सेटअप टाइप का कॉन्सेप्ट हो गया ना फिर।
हाँ. So if generally the what this logic is applicable for all items, then you'll show it in this way.
Okay. That's why that item attribute is there.
Yes. If you want to go item specific, then there would be you'll have to change the item name and attribute name over here. It won't be color, it would be color plus item. So you'll be saying the attribute for a particular color for an item. So you'll have to manipulate the data. You can do that also. But over here, this is general. For all item, it will be true. Okay.
Okay.
I'll just end.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.